Okay, so we're back, and I think I might have forgotten something. Let's go back to the VAB for a second here. Let's load up our Sun Skimmer, and I'm pretty sure I actually mucked up the staging here. Pretty confident that I did, actually. So this is all fine. And then the rest of this should be fine as well. If I remember correctly, this should all be okay. So we know that this is the last one to drop, then this one, then this one, then this one. So in theory, yeah, those ones are going to drop, then those ones are going to drop, then those ones are going to drop, and then those ones are going to drop, and then that main thing is going to drop, and then the nuclear engines are going to fire. Now the problem is that... no, maybe it's not a problem. Those ones drop, then those ones drop. Let's just make sure that that's right. It should be fine. Should be perfectly fine. I'm a little bit concerned at this point that I won't be able to transfer fuel the way that I want to. I think it'll be possible. We'll find out in later tests if I have to add on some more fuel lines later. That should be fine. But anyway, nuclear rockets will fire. Following that, these guys here are going to drop off. And then these guys here are going to drop off. And then the main orange tank is going to drop off, and we'll be left with this upper stage. Okay, that's kind of alright. We're probably going to need some solar panels, though. So I'm thinking that what I really want to do here is not waste too much weight. We don't really need to generate too much energy, to be honest. We got a big honking battery there. Shouldn't have to worry too much about the solar power. The problem is that orientation is going to be a bit of a pain on this one, but I think it'll be okay. I think we'll be okay. Let's go ahead and get some solar panels on here. So we need some of these guys. Right smack dab there. That should be more than enough power generation. And we are going to need some additional stuff on here. So let's go ahead and get that done. Again, we want to be as weight efficient as possible, I think. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab 2 Science Juniors. We're just going to put those on the top of here, if we can. Just need to rotate that out. Apparently I'm not allowed to do that. That's interesting. I did not realize that I couldn't put stuff on top of here. Huh. Well, there's always a way to solve everything in Kerbal Space Program, I've found. That probably won't work. Do we have some kind of an adapter for that that's not, like, ridiculously large? Because that would be great. Ah, there we go. So let's just invert those onto there. And might as well copy it, you know, for the sake of why not. Okay, great. Now hopefully that will have done it, and we'll be able to put our science up on top here. Excellent. Although I want to make it look pretty, because I like it when it looks pretty. So, not like that. Let's go like that, with the doors facing out. That sounds like a good idea. Okay, wonderful. We've got that done. These are 0.2 mass. These are 0.15 mass. Let's do something like that, and we'll put the rest of the science experiments on like there. And then on top of that, we're going to put... We won't need a barometer, that's for sure. We're not going to need a seismometer either. So realistically, we just put the old gravioli sensor right about there. Let's just even this out. And then we're going to grab some antennas, because we do want to be able to transmit data. Put a couple of antennas on there like that. And we will save that. So that'll be all the experiments. We've got our communications as well. We've got some solar power. We've got some battery power backup. And we've got an ungodly amount of fuel and an unholy amount of thrust. This should be interesting. Let's see. Oh, almost forgot that. I'm glad I went in and checked the staging. I knew I'd messed something up. I thought it was a bit further down, but it was actually right at the beginning. See, we want this over here, and then we want this to separate off last. But now that we've got it, I think I'm a pretty happy camper. Let's see what happens when we launch this. Okay, off to the launch pad we go. And we should see a bunch of wobbling around here. Let's just see how our launch towers hold up. Not as well as I'd hoped. You can see a bit of clipping there and a bit of clipping there. I don't know how well this unit is going to launch. It looks like it's unevenly balanced. We'll give it a try, but I'm not holding out much hope that this was going to work out too well. So let's get ourselves set up. What I always like to start off with is getting my resources up and setting it to stage only. Helps a little bit. I also like to go into the map view before I even launch, zoom in a little bit on where I'm going to be, kind of point roughly in the direction that I think I'm going to be going, bring up my nav ball within the map mode as well, transfer back, and we should be good to go. So, always hit T. You can hit R as well, but since we don't have any RCS on this unit, that's not going to matter all that much. Let's throttle all the way up, and let's see what this thing does. 3, 2, 1, launch. And it looks like it's going to tear itself apart. Yep, the physics engine just went insane. Let's see what'll happen, though, if instead of launching at full thrust, I decide to launch at not full thrust. So, just do another quick little setup here, that there, this over here, zoom it back into here, and you bring the thingy up, and you do something like that. And you come back over to here, and you lock your SAS, and then you launch. That is incredible. I don't think this thing is ever gonna lift off. Well, let's give it one more go, just for the sake of why not. It could be fun. I don't even care about any of my other stuff. I just want to see if somehow miraculously this will work. Nope. Well, what can I do about that? Basically, this thing is shaking itself apart, and I think it's just the physics engine that's got too much to compensate for. So there might be too many parts going on here. Or it might be just bad strutting that's getting horrifically out of hand. Let's bring it back to the VAB, and let's just try, for the sake of argument, let's just try to strut the hell out of this thing. See if that has any kind of an effect whatsoever. Again, I don't think it will, but we're about to find out. So, strut from there in. in 8-way symmetry. From there. To, I don't know, there. Let's see if that does anything for us, eh? Save that. Launch that. Let's see what happens. Probably gonna tear itself to shreds. That's okay. We don't mind. So, let's tee this sucker up. Let's thrust this sucker up. And let's launch. Hey, look at that! A little bit of strutting was all it took. And I am rather impressed with the speed at which this thing is accelerating. That is pretty darn impressive if you ask me. Wowee. Considering the amount of weight, the sheer tonnage of this thing, I am impressed with how fast this thing is going. Really thoroughly impressed. Now here's the next part, is did I get my staging right? We're about to find out. So, oh, okay, well, probably should have expected that. Yep. But we're getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere. That's the important part. Let's revert, and let's go back to the VAB for a little bit more fun action. Okay. So, these are obviously way too close together. How do we solve this? How do we solve this? We solve this by adding one more of these. I think that would be a good way to solve it, right? 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 Hopefully. We're gonna find out pretty soon, though. Okay, now, we want to do this intelligently. If we can. We're going to try anyway. See how well that works out for us. First off, why are you up so high? You should be like there. And then what we'll do, I guess, is we'll do I'm kind of tempted to just like put these onto struts so that they blow out even further away, but then again, probably don't need to because that's a decent amount of clearance. We'll just need a little bit more space. What can we use for a little bit more space? Not much. We don't really need that much. The more we give it, the further away these things are going to get. So let's just do a side-by-side of these two different struts here. Let's have a look at these. And let's see side-by-side what the difference is. That versus that. They're basically identical in height, but one is slightly wider at the base, so probably a bit more structurally sound. We could do these ones, but they're triple length, and that's way more than I need. Is there any other way that I can get just a bit more spacing on this? Maybe with some radial attachment points. Those usually go pretty flush, but it should give us just the tiny bit of extra that we need out to do this. Okay, let's be exceedingly delicate with this. This is a very important piece, and I would say that this is a very important piece as well. So let's move in here. Now this is my main line. So I want this off to the side somewhere there. Okay. As for the rest, trash that. Trash that as well. Then we're going to put you off to the side. there. We're going to do the same idea for you. Life isn't perfect, neither are you. Oh, for crying out loud, I lost my symmetry as well. Okay, you're gone. You, come here. We're gonna put you on top, I think. That'll be a good idea. Okay, that, there. Right? Yes. You. Symmetry mode. Engage. Pop. 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 There. Still looks a bit lower. Frankly, I don't care at this point. Alright, next up. There. There. And last but certainly not least, there. It's about as good as it's gonna get, kids. The only thing that I have to worry about beyond that is that one of these struts... I don't know, actually the struts seem to be fine. Why did those not copy through? Why is the... Oh, for crying out loud. Okay. I swear we're almost done. I promise. This is like so close now. So close. Okay. 8-way symmetry. From there. 2. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This one. There. Save. Okay. Now, all of my staging is completely buggered up. So at this point, I am going to reset all the staging. I will have probably sped up most of this process here, but whatever. We'll get her done. Okie dokie. We have a spaceship. I think. One more save for good luck. Let's launch this. Okay. This is just going to be one test. Hopefully the staging is all correct now. Hopefully this thing is stable enough that it won't rip itself apart. Like it just did, apparently. Please. Why is this happening? Well, when in doubt, more struts. Okay. Let's go... from... I guess just below the fuel line this time. Just above the fuel line, even. And 8-way symmetry. go from there to just above the fuel line. There. Save it. Launch it. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Ugh. This is something. This sure is something. Okay. Here's hoping for an actual liftoff. We will see what happens. Stage only. T. M. Zoom. Tilt. Nav ball. Back in. Zoom out. Throttle up. 3, 2, 1. Rip yourself apart. Or don't. We actually have a successful launch, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's see if all that hard work paid off. Well, the fuel lines are still doing their thing. The engines are overheating massively. That's probably not a good thing. Not much I can really do about it. So I kind of need all this thrust. So let's see what we can do about ditching those ones. That sounded like a bad thing. Was it a bad thing? Well, all the engines are still firing, so it can't be that bad. Getting a little bit concerned about that overheating. Maybe I don't need to be. We'll see. Maybe as the atmosphere thins out, things will get a little better. Here's hoping. Again, we have a colossal amount of thrust here. Like, seriously, a stupendous amount of thrust from what I can tell. Alrighty, and those ones come off. Cool. Next up. Oh, that's the struts knocking into the side of it. Okay. So there's really not much ejection force, which is great, I think. Okay, well, we are almost clearing the lower atmosphere with this kind of a payload, which is good? Question mark, question mark, question mark, parentheses? Smiley face? Okay. My other concern is that maybe that extra bit of fuel that we've got down here might be too much weight for this overall. We'll find out soon enough. I don't honestly know. I do know that we're going to be doing a gravity turn sometime soon. That will be the next interesting bit, methinks. Still, we have a lot of fuel. We're like 20 kilometers up already. As far as I'm concerned, that's pretty good. Let's start the gravity turn here, shall we? That's actually still got a decent amount of control over the ship, and compared to my previous launch, there's nowhere near as much roll, which is great. And we can just kind of hopefully slide this thing over without too much more roll happening. Maybe? How are we doing here? Wow. This is a much better launch platform than I had previously. Much better. I think we're actually going to do it this time. This little test flight might be all that we needed to do. I am liking this. I am liking this a lot. This is freaking wonderful. We're gonna go to ludicrous speed, methinks. Alright, let's roll it over the rest of the way. Get it right on the 45 there. Or as close as we can, really. Yep. Do that. That's looking pretty darn good. How we doing here? Oh, wow. That is wonderful. That is freaking stupendous. I might just want to do like a timed launch. And launch so that when we come out of here, we'll be going exactly the right way. That was interesting. Good thing it didn't really explode everything. Okay, well, we are still accelerating up, apparently. Is the node increasing in time? It is. Wow. We have boatloads of fuel left. Let's just see, for the sake of argument. We're to launch off in this direction. You know what? Let's just keep on going. Let's just keep on going and see how high we can possibly get with this thing, because we're slowly making our way to orbital speed. Really not going too fast towards that now. We can probably do this a lot more efficiently if we burned up at the top there, but again, I'm not worried about that so much right now. This is purely for testing purposes. We're still about, oh, what is that? 800 kilometers per second off, so we're more than halfway to orbital speed. We still have a significant chunk of fuel left. And we might as well, at this point, try to get this to go a little bit faster. So let's just roll it over some more. We're more than high up enough at this point that we can afford to just go right along the horizon, I think. Something like that. Now again, I don't know if we're actually going to make orbit with this or not. We might not. I don't honestly know. It's looking like we will, though. And that is a phenomenally high orbit. This is a horrible burn, by the way, and we can do a lot better, but again, this is just for testing purposes. And considering how horrifically bad this burn actually is, I'm pretty darn satisfied with the way it turned out. Yeah, looks like we're going to run out of fuel a little bit before we achieve an actual orbit. At the same time, though, we might just be able to get ourselves into a stable orbit with only the nuclear engines. I don't know, but we might be able to. Yeah, because we're only, well, we're pretty darn close. I mean, you know. Anyway, that's that. Let's fire up some nukes. Now, how it is that we're actually going slower, as far as our orbital velocity is concerned, is just baffling as far as I'm concerned. Okay, well, again, that could have been done much better. How about we just cut the engines there? I want to try this guy out. See, now, I don't understand quite how this works yet. Meh. We'll have to figure that out later. In the meanwhile, let's just make sure that the rest of our staging is correct. So, we stage that. And let's just burn a little bit so we can get away from those. And stage the next one. That looks about right. Okay. Stage the next one. Also looks about right. Stage the next set. Okay. Stage the next set. Stage the... Okay. Let's X out of that. Stage the next bit, which is great. And stage the next bit. Cool. That technically counts as something, I guess. Alright. And presumably the parachutes are also going to work. Hooray. That all worked lovely. Revert. And we'll revert that back to the vehicle assembly building. And with that, I will say that this is actually a successful launch platform. I am going to save that heavy launch under here. Save, overwrite, load, Sun Skimmer. So, again, we should be able to get orbital velocity out of this. We should be able to actually exit without too much concern. Yeah, I think this is going to work out pretty nicely, to be honest. But I don't want to give it a go just yet. I think the next episode, the next video, I will actually do the launch and we'll start running the mission. For now, though, that will be all. Yeah, so that would be the testing phase, I suppose, of this particular mission. Now that we got the building and the testing phase out of the way, all that remains is to fly the darn thing to the sun and back. Hopefully that'll all work out nicely. Until then, see you next time.